The worst thing ever when you commission artwork is when somebody scams you. And even worse than that is when the person who is scamming you is trying to gaslight you into, I don't know, changing your reality and making you think that they're not being a scammer. Let's take a look at the situation because we're going back to one of my favorite subreddits, r/isthisai. This is a post made in that subreddit by OP Comfortable Tree, writing, "I feel like I'm being gaslit. Artist says they don't use AI, but the signs are there." So they write, "I followed this artist since 2020, and they've always created flat colored characters in a more cartoon style with little to no shading. Check the last 2 slides. They stopped posting on Instagram in 2025, and recently this year, they started posting again. Only this time, the art is highly rendered, realistic digital illustrations. She pumps them out very quickly. Every day she posts a new finished piece, which is suspicious. She also shares process photos because she says she doesn't like to record her process because she just wants to enjoy it without thinking of recording. In each of her post descriptions, she says she uses Illustrator and Photoshop. She made a couple posts saying she doesn't use AI. Her process photos look really fake. Like, the way it's colored doesn't feel like how somebody would naturally color. The 5th slide really makes no sense. Why would you render the skin without at least laying down the flat color for the eyebrow and lips? Also, what exactly was done in Illustrator? The line work? That makes no sense to me at all either. I've never been able to get shading or line work that looks organic and loose like that on Illustrator. And vector art and pixel art differ in that pixel art, as you place the brush down, it literally places like pixels down on the canvas, whereas vector art works with like a lot of math and stuff like that, which is why vector art can be upscaled or downscaled basically infinitely without really losing quality. But you don't really get like painterly brushstroke looking effects in Illustrator. It's pretty difficult to make it look like that." OP continues, "If she said this piece was done with pencil first, then Photoshop, I might have believed it more. She says she doesn't use AI. I feel like I'm being gaslit." And OP adds the last 2 slides was art she used to make in 2024. I don't know, maybe she was practicing her art skills during the year hiatus she wasn't posting on Instagram. So this is one of their works, and this is another one. And yeah, you can see this is a very stylized piece of art. They are very flat. These look like they were made in Illustrator. This is what I mean when it's definitely a lot more shapely. You can add gradients and stuff like that, but to add like textured brushstroke is pretty hard to do in Illustrator. And then here we have the drawing process. Sorry, I'm just laughing at the octopus. Because what do you mean you started to draw the octopus and then we have half a tentacle? I am flabbergasted at the octopus drawing work in progress here. What? This is not a work in progress. This literally looks like somebody pasted a photo of an octopus and then erased half a tentacle. Don't scam people. But this person is not even trying to scam. Like, do you just genuinely think your audience is dumb or something? Because that is the most egregious way to try to be deceptive. Okay, so now we have work in progress slide number 2, where it looks like they took the fattest eraser brush known to man and then erased out the earring and then parts of the hair and the mouth. You're not even trying, bro. Sorry, I try not to get too worked up in these videos, but I'm flabbergasted at what's going on over here in the hair. Literally, bro took like a 100 pixel eraser brush, massive, and was like, yeah, I'm gonna erase chunks of the hair. Okay, yeah, people are gonna believe this. Again, how stupid do you think people are? And they didn't even try. Like, look at the lips, it's all wobbly. And then the star shape, they just like over erased. We've covered a lot of AI scammers on this channel, okay? At least some of the other scammers tried a little harder to cover their tracks up. Don't do that. Don't scam people. But you know what I'm saying? It's just comedic. All right, now we have more work in progress. Oh, look, the earrings and the lips are drawn in. Which also, how did the rendering get blurrier? Like, this is the midway render, right, for the skin? The details are really crisp and sharp here. And then now all the detail got really fuzzy all of a sudden. Not to mention that giant eraser chunk is still in the hair. And then, so now we're getting a little bit more work in progress, a little bit more, and then the finished piece. Genuinely flabbergasted at this attempt of buffoonery. And look at the fish. Dude, what's happening over here? Okay, we got the fish, right? We've got blob, 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 and blob. And then they're just rendered. I feel like this looks like what somebody who uses Adobe Illustrator, who has never touched pixel art, like non-vector art in their life, what they think an art process looks like with brushstrokes. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna erase a big chunk of the hair and nobody's gonna be the wiser. The top comment reads, "The laziness of using the eraser this way, this is truly special. I mean, they couldn't even be bothered to use a mask or follow the line like a 5-year-old does in a coloring book. Another person adds, the arms of the octopus are a loop. AI for sure. Which, yeah, octopus got one arm going straight back into the other arm. And somebody adds, those are not process photos. There is somebody painting white over the top of the finished image. The pencil sketch is just a filter applied to the image. They did not draw this. Another person adds, AI. On the progress photo you mentioned, you can see the eyebrow color poking out around the erased eyebrows. Looks like they had the full piece and simply erased certain areas to make it seem incomplete. Like the neck shadow for one. I've never met an artist who does that entirely separate. And then, even then, look at the tip of the tentacles. They erased a bit of that color too in the same stroke as taking off the neck shadow. And even the sketch seems AI. It's too detailed. And somebody says, I hate that I've come to this conclusion, but I found that every person that preempts the AI question with, quote, I don't use AI, end quote, has been more likely to use AI. And OP adds, yup, you're right. She made a pinned post on her Instagram stating she would not use AI, but it looks like she generated the description from ChatGPT. The gaslighting is crazy. And basically the artist writes, behind every finished, perfect piece is a chaotic, beautiful mind in progress. No prompt could ever replicate the specific way I struggle with a jawline, decide on a flower petal placement, or stress over capturing the exact likeness of a loved one. Literally the hardest subject to paint. My process is specific and manual, hours and hours of practice. It starts in Illustrator, sometimes even as a scanned pencil doodle, where I lay down the digital outline. Then I move to Photoshop for the heavy lifting, the extensive brushwork, lighting adjustments, and textures to push towards this new hyper-realistic footing I'm finding after years of 2D illustration. It's said that we have to prove our skills with raw files, but I'm sharing this anyways. Not just as proof, but for the love of the process as a glimpse into my mind at work. Works in progress, a place for errors, mistakes, edits, updates, and first drafts. I create art, not content. Blah, 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 blah. And they write hashtag human artist, hashtag work in progress, hashtag art process, hashtag art versus AI, hashtag creative process. I mean, I hate personally how everyone's like, you use M dashes, so it's ChatGPT. As a M dash enjoyer that has been using M dashes since the moment I discovered they existed, I hate how ChatGPT has co-opted M dashes. Give me my M dashes back. But I just saw a lot of people on Thread specifically talking about like spotting ChatGPT writing, whatever. A big one is the cadence of the way things are written and the pacing of words. Like, it's not X, it's Y, it's not this, it's that. And some people write like that, right? But unless this person has a history of writing like that, the writing style is definitely something. And if you're not familiar with this subreddit, like people will vote essentially, and then there will be a final outcome. And there weren't enough votes to determine whether it's AI generated or not, but my personal vote is that most definitely it's AI generated, and there's a lot of scammery going on, especially with just this. This is another RP somebody posted to this thread, posted to this subreddit writing really cool penny artwork. And as you can see, it is a pen on paper inked piece of Penny Parker, and this is so cool. Well, you can't expect to win them all. And OP writes, I saw this cool artwork. Looking closely, I saw a few things like the discrepancy of shading under the eyes, which makes me wonder if it was AI, referring to this eye where this one has a lot more shading than this other eye. And somebody says this art style is from an artist on Twitter, though I can't find them yet. And then somebody said here Starbind S. And this is the artist whose style that they really think it replicates. And somebody found the artist's handle, it's Starbind_S on X. This is their original work that was made January 22nd, 2025 that they posted to X. It went really viral, 104,000 likes. And yeah, the artist has been drawing in this style since like forever. This is a drawing from April 2023 they've done, and again, the same style. So not AI. So this is another post writing, saw it on Facebook. And they write, seems like a lot of detail for it to be AI, but who puts a dirty dish in a utensil holder? And this is a photo of a really juiced up KitchenAid mixer where it has like a big dragon on it that looks like it's welded onto the KitchenAid with a tail wrapping around the base. This is most definitely very, very interesting. First off, my eyes actually immediately go to this filthy bucket in the back because what in the world? Like, how did it get like that? But looking at this, I don't think there's like a single KitchenAid that looks like that, because most definitely it would have gone really, really viral. Again, if you want to highlight oddities, the dragon's like fingernails are not even on the right arm versus the left arm. There's like a claw coming up here. Maybe from the angle it wouldn't be visible here. But if you just think of it from like a practicality standpoint, how would you use a KitchenAid like this with all this like meddling on it because you can't take the bowl out. How would you do that? The top comment says 100% AI, that mixer does not exist and it's the most practical thing. And other people were saying that this looks like a mix of two different KitchenAid products, that apparently there is the artisan version of the KitchenAid mixer, which has a crank to lift the top up, but there's another type of mixer called the bowl lift. And then they add, so it has the screw in base of the classic and the artisan, plus the lock arms of the bowl lift, which is like, I guess, these arms. So they're saying most definitely AI because it has like features from 3 different KitchenAid models in one. I'm also flabbergasted at the butter knife just left on the table. And this is an example, I guess, of that lock type of bowl KitchenAid they were talking about. And somebody adds, also it has a synth ID watermark. And as you can see here, Google Gemini said, all or part of this image was made with Google AI. It contains a digital watermark that identifies it as being generated or edited with Google's AI tools. Which again is like super freaking annoying because Google Gemini created their like synth ID watermark so that if you use Google Gemini and generate images, it's burned into the image. But then they essentially created a problem and a solution because they made, Google Gemini to generate images, but then they were like, oh, but we're going to give you the synth ID tool that only we can tell if it was generated or not. So interesting. But somebody says this is AI, but I could see an art YouTuber doing this for a video. And the next comment says, yeah, but they wouldn't leave the kitchen so incredibly messy. Look at that jar. So yeah, the conclusion for this one is AI. This is another post writing, this has to be AI, right? And they add, found at a craft fair. Boo. His left hand has 5 fingers, but his right has 4. Not sure if it's just the artist didn't ask or what. So here we have Spider-Man standing over a city. And as you can see, the hand in the back has 5 fingers, the hand in the front has 4. Just beyond that, which already this is pretty damning. Another big one is when there's this like a massive difference in art style amongst the type of prints that are sold. These are 2 different tables, but they are standing both over the, marker that says 25. So it kind of looks like both of these tables belong to the same vendor. This style is really different from this, which is really different from this watercolor painting-esque style that you can see here. Oh my God, wait, this looks like my cat. Sorry. And somebody says, yep, that's AI, no doubt about it. Also, his hand with 5 fingers looks like a chicken foot. Another person says, his left arm is connected to his chest in a very weird way. AI to me, no doubt. And another person says 10,000% AI. Buildings and cars are weird AF. Some of the buildings are dripping something from the top, and his hands are sort of weird. And what's the point of the weird white eyebrows coming off the mask? Which, yeah, I actually didn't even notice there's these like eyebrows. Very odd, very weird. So the consensus for this one is AI. This person writes, I made a reasonable purchase at Spencer's, but now I'm wondering if it might be AI generated. And it's a shirt featuring a wolf ripping the clothes off the chest. Ooh, that anatomy is looking real funky. Look, I know it's a werewolf, so werewolves aren't like real, maybe. But bro's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 abs down the front, not to mention all these side ribs, and the upper abs are like multiplied. Like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 just right up here at the top. Come on. The anatomy, look, I'm not saying bad anatomy means you used AI, but this is like massively incorrect anatomy, as in you learn really early on, I feel like, how abs look like. And it's not all of that up here. Not to mention bro's got 2 belly buttons, which is definitely not helping. Top comment says 2 belly buttons and an extra fang. It's AI. And OP says, God damn it, I hate the slop so much. And this one was so funny. Somebody says 1, yes, it's AI. 2, you're too embarrassed to ask your friends if it's AI, but not embarrassed to wear this at all in public. Which, hey, if you want to wear this out in public, more power to you. I respect it. I'll look at you and I'll know you're the GOAT. But unfortunately, consensus is AI. So what are your thoughts about all of this? What was your score? Did you get it 100% right? Did you misjudge one of them? I would love to hear your thoughts with respect in the comment section below. And I'm still flabbergasted at the eraser tech. So dead. So anyways, if you like this video, appreciate it. If you like and subscribe, don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide. And I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. and Thursdays at 7:30. Streaming a little bit more right now because I'm doing a little TFT tournament, so we're kind of grinding. So with that, I hope to catch you all over there on my streams or in another video. Peace.